Evening. I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg regular council meeting of July 13th to order at 7:30 p.m. We are in the Government Center, council chambers, and the meeting is also streaming live on the city's YouTube channel. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Stauffer? Here. Mr. Bellin? Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mrs. Labby? Here.
Okay, next we will have the invocation and the pledge. The invocation will be led by Mr. Barr, and we will have leading us in the pledge will be Boy Scout Troop 213. So if you please rise.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen.
Amen.
Hand over Harbor Scout salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Troop 213. We appreciate it. Next, at this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in remembrance of Officer Joshua McTarian, who 13 years ago today gave the ultimate sacrifice for the city of Twinsburg. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the approval of the regular council meeting minutes of June 22nd and also the special council meeting on July 8th. Has everybody had a chance to review those minutes? If so, and there's no questions, can I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion that the minutes are accepted as submitted.
Mr. Fury, is there a second?
I'll second. Yield. Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Walker. Okay, any discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes. Okay. Awards and presentations tonight.
There is. Mayor Yates?
Mayor.
Well, first, before we recognize the young man, I just want to say that it's really good to be back in person and doing this live. 2020 was a very difficult year, and I know our Boy Scouts are out doing a lot of things in our community that we really appreciate. These two young men tonight did projects that helped better Twinsburg. And I'm always proud. I mean, we've sworn in probably close to, or not sworn in, but we've recognized probably 20 Eagle Scout awards over the past 5 or 6 years. And that just says a lot about Twinsburg, and it says a lot about the troops that we have here and the work that they do for our community. So this time I'd like to bring up Jared. We've got a proclamation for him. I'm going to read it. Whereas the administration, council, and residents of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, extend congratulations to Jared Paul for his achievement in earning the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas Jared graduated from Twinsburg High School in May of 2019, he is currently enrolled at Ohio University in the pre-med program. He is also participating in Air Force ROTC and the Ohio Marching Band. And whereas Jared joined Cub Scouts as a Tiger Cub in 2008 with Cub Scout Pack 67 in Twinsburg, Ohio, he earned multiple belt loops, activity pins, and the Arrow of Light. Jared crossed over to Boy Scout Troop 213, sponsored by Summit Masonic Lodge in Twinsburg, under the leadership of Scoutmaster Cloyd Chip Reed. Whereas Jared's Eagle Scout project was building fences along the sides and back of the garage at the Naturals office, and he built an 8x8 fencing around the main sign. With the fencing at the sides and back of the garage, Jared put signs on the fencing to label the water field and the trail. Jared and his volunteers invested a total of 75 hours completing his Eagle Scout project. Whereas Jared has earned 32 merit badges, 21 being required for Eagle Scout, he has held the positions of Senior Patrol Leader, Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, troop scribe, troop quartermaster, and troop historian. And whereas Jared was elected Order of Arrow on January 20, 2015. And now therefore I, Ted Yates, Mayor of the City of Twinsburg, express my congratulations to Jared Paul on earning the prestigious and honorable ranking of Eagle Scout. I further congratulate his parents, Sean, Michelle, stepmom Rachel, sisters Amber and Skylar, and brothers Devin, Logan, and Wyatt, along with his family, friends, and fellow Scouts as they gather to commemorate this special occasion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to bring up Michael Noga. So this one's a little bit special because I've known Michael for a long time, watched him grow up, and he decided to get involved in the crazy sport of pole vaulting, where my son has been involved since he was a freshman in high school. So I've got to know Michael a little bit better. So I'm really proud of all the work he's done, both on and off the field, as well as the work he's done for the community and achieving his Eagle Scout Award. So I'd like to read his proclamation. Whereas the administration, council, and residents of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, extend congratulations to Michael Noga for his achievement in earning the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas Michael is a junior at Twinsburg High School, maintains a 4.0 GPA, and enjoys extracurricular activities such as Twinsburg High School News, Yearbook, Track and Field, Maker Space Club, Maker Mentor, Student AV Worker. And whereas Michael started his scouting career in Twinsburg in 2012 as a Wolf Cub in Cub Pack 667, which was sponsored by Cosmos and Damien Church. He earned the Arrow of Light in 2015. He crossed over to Boy Scout Troop 213, sponsored by the Summit Masonic Lodge of Twinsburg in March of 2015. Under the leadership of Scoutmaster Chip Reed, Michael earned the rank of Eagle Scout on January 19th, 2021 under Scoutmaster Chris Noga, and whereas Michael's Eagle Scout project was the clearing of a small trail and the construction of a 24-foot long bridge at the Longwood Branch YMCA. The path and the bridge will function as a safe and quick path for kids to get to the open field in the back of the property. Under Michael's direction, 139 total volunteer hours were accumulated on the project. The project was completed in October of 2020 and approved by the Executive Director of the Longwood Branch YMCA, Derek Mercer. And whereas Michael has earned 29 merit badges, 21 being for Eagle Scout, he has held the position of Troop Scribe, Patrol Leader, 3 terms, Assistant Patrol Leader, Den Chief for Pack 667, Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, Senior Patrol Leader, Order of the Arrow Troop Representative, Troop Guide, and Junior Assistant Scoutmaster. And whereas Michael has earned 8 awards since 2019 that include Outdoor Ethics Awareness Award, Messenger of Peace, Conservation Good Turn, Scouts BSA World Conservation Award, Paul Bunyan Woodsman, National Outdoor Achievement, National Outdoor Achievement in Camping, National Outdoor Achievement in Conservation. Now therefore, I, Ted Yates, Mayor of the City of Twinsburg, express my congratulations to Michael Noga on earning this prestigious and honorable ranking of Eagle Scout. I further congratulate his parents, Chris and Beth, sister Jennifer, and Cat George, along with family, friends, and fellow Scouts as they gather to commemorate this special occasion.
Okay.
That was great.
Thank you. And on behalf of the City Council, we would like to congratulate as well Jacob, Jared, and Michael on their achievements. So thank you. Next, we move on to, thank you, audience participation.
First, we have Bob Hughes.
Hey, Mark, better?
No, you put it back on the.
Okay, good. This is
Well, I can
Bob.
put it back down on the top, so it's easier to.
Oh, that's where it
How
was.
about that? Okay, yeah.
My bad.
For me, you need up top. I don't need one.
Highly technical.
Thanks, Mark. This is Bob Thews, 2229 Demi Drive in Twinsburg, Ohio. I'm in the Meadowood plan. Shannon keeps tabs on me. No, I'm gonna need help, okay?
All right.
Okay, I spoke at the council meeting about Amendment 1. I'm gonna read it again so everybody understands what it means. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Okay, that's the basis of what I'm speaking about tonight. The rules of conduct for the conduct of council and audience participation. Tirades are not permitted, nor shall any person utterance any profane, derogatory, contemptuous, slanderous, harassing, mean-spirited, malicious, and false content or remarks. Okay, some of them are very easy to define. Many of them are not definable by this council or a lot of people, okay, from that standpoint. So what this tells me is if the president of the council doesn't like me and I get up here and say, "Dear council," he can shut my mic off, just like that. And as a result of that, that means we don't have free speech anymore. That means a violation of this right here. Okay, and if that happens to me and happens to anybody I know, I guarantee that I will take that to, there's only about 5 or 7 different organizations that would love to make a lawsuit out of that and make Twinsburg a national notoriety for violating the First Amendment of the Constitution. So what I'm saying is, I don't agree with what you have in here because what you have in here is not definable. You got to define it. You got to put in there rules and definitions of what they are, or you can't put it in there. Okay, it's like saying I'm ugly. Okay, you can agree that I'm ugly. Okay, from that standpoint, but that is not definable. Okay, from that standpoint. So you can put stuff in there that's definable in your council rules. Don't put them in there. Don't waste the time. And if you do put stuff in there like that, I will make sure that you pay the penalty for it. And I'm not alone. There are others who will jump in with me and do the same thing. So from my standpoint, all I'm saying is what you're creating here, okay, is your own problem. You can kill that problem right now. You can say, maybe we need to define these things, maybe we need to do better at that. But what I'm saying is if you don't do that, expect a lawsuit and expect to see your name, Twinsburg, Ohio, in major cities and in all the major newspapers in the United States. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
Next, we have Bruce Baldwin.
Good evening, Council. Bruce Baldwin, 3310 Canada Road, top of the hill, which means nothing. First thing, I hope all people listening recall the 13 years ago, the day of the funeral of Officer McTurnan. I do because I was there. It was a hot, solemn day. It was 6.5 hours by the time we left the station and got back. I was to the left of the officer that fainted in ranks. I grabbed him right away, yelled for help. We got him to the ground before he hit his service revolver. That was one day I will never forget. We had no lunch. We had water. Red Cross did more than you can imagine to help us out. It was just so darn hot. That day they told us not to wear our dress uniforms. It was so bad. This day I will never forget. Second, as I drive by the old Chrysler plant on Route 82, I see the names of streets leading to the new businesses. Not one name, Chrysler Drive. I mean, I think that's really bad. How many millions of dollars of taxpayers buy city schools and city itself? I have no idea. Okay, the name of this job, Remaining Streets, I remember cold. Yes, it was cold that day. I went to the groundbreaking ceremony. It was so cold we just had to stand close to each other to get warm. I remember that. And what a sad day in the face of Walter P. Chrysler, and the words he said, remember Chrysler. Shame on whoever is responsible for this. Take care of yourself and good evening. I have tried to talk to people. Who is responsible for these names? Does anybody give any output? Because I would have been the first one standing there that day. It was so cold. I can remember standing and seeing pictures taken of Mr. Chrysler there. And I can't find out who's responsible where you can put it says, I forget a couple of names in the drive, but it's nothing to do with Twinsburg. I think there's something there where somebody is missing. I don't know who it is. I'm not putting a blame on anybody. I'm just very curious because I can't seem to find out from anybody if there's any kind of output that we can have to remember the name. Thank you. Good evening. Take care of yourself and each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Karen Clinton.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Law Director. I'm going to do my best to get through this. It's a very difficult couple of days for me. As you know, again, our beloved Officer Materian was killed 13 years ago in the late hours of actually the 12th leading into the 13th. I came before this council 13 and a half years ago. A couple of you were still here. Bill Fury, Sam Scapidi, Maestros was our law director. And at that point I said, we don't have enough patrolmen. We need more people out there. We're a growing community. We don't have enough on the streets. And it fell on deaf ears. And as a result of that, I want to read to you the night, because just so happened I got up. I was involved with the fire department. My husband works for a city, so we have a scanner. It's on, like the radio, like the TV in everybody's house. I got up to go to the restroom, and I actually heard our beloved Officer Materian die that night. This is a press release. At the time, Tom Austin was a patrolman. I believe he's a lieutenant now. I could be wrong, but I think that's where he stands. And I'll skip through it because I only have a few minutes here. This is published, My Town Dispatch Tape, Twinsburg Officer Shooting, released July 20th, 2008. And it goes into, Materian 33 was shot in the head and killed July 13th during a traffic stop near Glenwood Driveway at the home of Ashford Thompson, who I understand is still on death row. Mr. Maestros, we would like to be updated as to what's going on with this Neanderthal that killed our beloved Officer Materian. He used to sit right back there. You remember him with the dog? Do you remember him? I see his face and I see Baggio. And this is what happened. In 4 minutes, he lost his life. 4 minutes. Why? He had no backup. And I'll walk you through it. Give me a minute. Police say Materian pulled over Thompson for loud radio and suspicion of OVI. Materian contacted dispatch. He called radio at 1:54 a.m. to check Thompson's license number and to check the database. At 1:56, saying, radio, send Reminderville up here, I need another unit. He knew he didn't have anybody. These guys, they talk to each other, they're on the computer, they're on the radio, they're on their phones. He knew he had nobody. He knew he needed another unit. He requested Reminderville. While dispatch checked the registration, Materian called for backup at 1:56 saying, send me somebody. At that time, Reminderville was en route. Radio had gotten the license plate number at 1:56, And she radioed back, stating to both patrolmen, Reminderville and to our beloved Materian, that the gentleman he was attempting to pull over had a concealed weapons permit. Austin said while Materian may never have received that message, he didn't think it would have made a difference. At 1:58, 4 minutes later, a resident near the scene called the non-emergency number at the city police department, reporting that she heard arguing outside and popping noises. And we all know what those popping noises were. 4 minutes later, he was dead. He was laying on the ground. Patrolman David Bensky heard this on the radio traffic while en route to Glenwood Drive.
1 minute.
He responded, 45, you okay? You okay? Nothing. Reminderville gets on the scene, radios back to dispatch and says that there was something dark in the driveway next to Materian's cruiser. The next thing you hear is, officer down. Officer down. 4 minutes. He had nobody. Now I stand before you today, 13 years later. We still don't have enough. You're ignoring it. You know that. You know what the numbers are. And to add insult to injury, now you're paying our patrol officers, men and women, at half the salary. You're giving them a tier 2. They're putting their life on the line for tier 2. It's not bad enough. They don't have enough support. And then you have nerve, Mayor Gates, to stand here tonight and say, oh, well, we're releasing the cap off of the salaries of the department heads. Start with the police department. And as far as what this gentleman was referring to, you're both attorneys. Look it up. First Amendment, 1964, New York Times versus Sullivan. Thank you. Sleep well tonight. I will.
Next, we have Mrs. Williams.
Good afternoon or evening, everyone. Congratulations, Ms. Labby.
Labby, yes.
Okay, congratulations. The barks of all of us is much bigger than the bite, most of the time. So I'll give you that notice. I'm going to go over the health department's reports that we've been working on. We're doing about 100 vaccines every Wednesday at the health department at our drive-through. And we had a on-site visit. They did call us. One of the pharmacists that's on the board with me told me that they just showed up at his place. And they called us and said they wanted to come out and see how our operation worked out. And we did pretty well. You know, the only thing they told us was to put a lid on something. Doing all these vaccinations, and that was the only thing they found. So we felt pretty good about that. And we had 20 sites that we did do pop-ups in Summit County the last couple of months. So I wanted to make sure I told you about that. And then we had something from the director's report that I thought was interesting. Two things: fake IDs for COVID shots. For anyone listening, it's a federal crime if you forge these shots and the ID cards. And they're popping up on the internet, and it's round-robining around to all the health departments and the facilities that are issuing out ID cards. So if you know people that haven't gotten a shot and they tell people that they have, if they happen upon one of these, there's another problem that they might run into. So that's just an FYI. And then one of the other things I found interesting, suicide rate among young girls is extremely high. From February till March, we saw a 50% increase in young girls going into the emergency room for attempted suicide. And that's 20% higher than boys, and it's about 40% higher than it was last year. And we think the COVID and kids being isolated and the other different issues that they have are contributing to that. So if you have children or you're in contact with young people, maybe kind of talk to them and give them encouragement because this is something to kind of look at more and more. Ticks are on the uprise, and the bites and the problems. So if you're outside walking, put some socks on, put some boots on, pay attention. I gave you House Bill 248. I had talked about this before, that it was kind of moving through the state with people not being required to be vaccinated. And we sent a letter to the editor. That's what I gave you all a copy of. This was in the Beacon Journal and a couple of the other papers. I don't think it was in the bulletin, because I would have noticed that. But this is ticking right along, and it's very concerning, because we could potentially be exposing our children, our family members, the whole community, to people that are not required to have vaccines. I'm not talking about a COVID shot. I'm talking about what kids need to have to go to school and things like that. So there is a movement afoot to undo all of that. And in undoing all of that, it comes with responsibility, and that's what basically this article is talking about. So I wanted to make sure that you all had a copy of it in case somebody asked you about it, and you would just have a little FYI on it. Then I have a community question. I have a fox roaming around in my neighborhood. Who do I call?
He's not going to come after you, I promise.
Well, I was at my girlfriend's house, and she has a den, and there are 4 of them playing across her backyard like pups.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of them, got one running around my neighborhood. I think it's kind of cute, but.
I'll send him to your house.
There you go.
Okay, so that's all I have to say. And have a very nice, relaxing couple of weeks, because it's going to be challenging when you come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
That's all we have this evening.
That's it? Okay. All right, we'll move on to council communication and committee reports. Mrs. Stauffer.
Okay. Well, Ms. Walker attended the ARB meeting for me last week, and she's going to be attending this Thursday, so she's going to do the report on that for me. I attended the Special Committee for Justice, Equity, and Diversity and Inclusion yesterday, Monday, July 12th at 6 p.m. At that meeting, each of the subcommittee gave reports, the Justice and Police Relations, and I wanted to thank Officer Donato for responding to any of the questions that the JEDI Committee had. I think he did a really good job of clearing up any concerns or questions. The City Employment and Diversity at this time they had already done the report at the last meeting, and then we talked a lot about the community outreach and where we're going to go with that. So there's a lot of discussion on that. We're going to be working on a video to be released over the next few months about exactly what the JEDI Committee is and what it stands for. If I'm wrong, Shannon, you can help me out here, right?
Nope, you're right.
I think I got it. And then the next full committee meeting, though, there'll be a little recess here, is going to be on September 13th at 6 o'clock. And I really want to thank all the members of that JEDI Committee. I think it's really a powerful group of people, and I think that they're going to be accomplishing a lot. Special thanks to Michael Brown for everything you do. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fury.
Thank you, and good evening. As others have stated, this is the 13th anniversary of the passing of Josh Terry, who's still on duty. Mr. Scapidi, Mr. Maestros, and I were in this room about noon on a Sunday, 11 or about on a Sunday morning. We've been called. Bob McDermott was running as the council president at the time, and the mayor was on vacation. And that was a day that I'll never forget. And it's disappointing that you chose to talk about how we didn't have enough police officers. I can't, I don't know where you're coming from with that. We've had the same chief for 20 years, 25 years. We take safety forces very seriously here. We've got, that's an outrageous statement today. But I'm going to concentrate more on my thoughts of his wife and his daughter, who was 2 weeks old at the time, is now hitting home runs in Talmadge basketball, baseball, and how wonderful their family has become, and that will always be a part of their lives. Actually, my son, Josh actually stopped in our neighborhood for something that evening, and the kids were talking to him and saw a dog within 7 o'clock that evening. So anyway, and the statement that we're paying officers half as much is it's an untrue statement. There are 2 tiers that were negotiated in 2 different union contracts. And the reason that we did that is because we weren't going to have starting salaries at $80,000. If you put 3% on the starting salary forever, you're not going to be able to afford officers. So as part of the committees that looked at that throughout the city, in fact, Tom Austin, who's probably he's the number 1 patrolman in the union in the state, is the one that first brought a split scale to me over 15 years ago. Again, we have a current union contract that has a split scale that will be addressed sometime in the future, but that contract's been signed twice. Twice it's been approved by both the police union and the council and the administration. So, and it's not half. That's another false statement. I attended the JEDI committee last night, and again, Michael Brown did a fantastic job and addressed some issues locally, and I was thoroughly impressed with the way you handled yourself and the way you've handled yourself and the professionalism you've brought to that position within the city since you've been here. We've made huge strides in many areas, and I want to thank you for the work you do here. Attended the safety committee earlier this evening. Talked about Brian Donato briefly earlier tonight. Brian Donato was a good friend of Josh's, and since his passing, Brian, for the last 12 years, has sponsored or organized a golf outing that will be held this Friday at Glen Eagles, and it is sold out to the fact that we almost have to bring more carts in. It's absolutely maxed out, and that raises thousands of dollars that go to the McTarian Scholarship Fund, which they award scholarships to 2 individuals to go into law enforcement every year. I want to thank Brian, because it takes a ton of work to do that, and it's a big event, and he gets a ton of whole sponsors, and they've got money coming in from multiple areas. And he should be congratulated for his efforts that he's put on for the last 12 years. The Twinsburg Firefighters Local Union 3630 is going to have their first annual golf outing, and it will be at August 27th, a 9 a.m. shotgun start at Glen Eagles as well. Twinsburg Firefighters Local 3630 at gmail.com. You can get information. If you call the fire station on the non-emergency number, I'm sure you can get information on how to sign up. And with that, Mark, can you turn on the... So for the last 3 months, we've been addressing issues that were brought out in the survey that we did last year. Again, we had approximately 1,100 people surveyed in the city of Twinsburg, in addition to focus groups that were done. And the concerns that came up were finances. The second biggest issue was false information. The third was communication. So that's okay, Mark, go ahead. So what you have there is a statement of cash. This comes out every month, usually about the 15th or so. And what it shows is what we have on hand for the multiple, there's got to be 25 accounts there that we bring revenue in for. But the quick way to read this is at the top line, there's the general fund, which has $11.86 million, and that's where the income tax goes. And our ending balance is it's expected to rise about $800,000 at $12.5 million. Income tax year to date is up 6%, and in the bottom center you'll see that that's our cash on hand, and that's the unexpended balance of all of the monies that we have together, and it's at $28,213,000 right now. That does not include a dime of the issue 2 money, which will not be collected next year, which will bring $1.7 million into the pensions. of the police and fire departments, as well as ad capital. And it does not include any COVID money that would come in over the next year at this time. So there will be some additional funds going into there, but that the city's in strong financial position right now. In order to check that, we, in our finance department, if you went on that website, those links below that allow you to see our performance audits. We've had multiple performance audits, 2 in the last 12 years. The latest performance audit came back that we were really running extremely efficiently and that there weren't a lot of new cuts or things that we could do, and they recommended raising revenue, which we did with issue 2. It also has the monthly reports that all of council get with that statement of cash that comes out on the 15th. It has receipt reports, bank statements. There's a half a dozen monthly reports that can give you all the information that you might want to look at if you're curious about the city finances. It has our audits. We get audited every year, and every 3 years our auditor gets audited. Those are available there, as well as the tax budget. So we have 12 years of financial information available off of our website just by going from mytwinsburg.com under Departments Finance, and it's listed right there. The third thing that people wanted to talk about was communication. So Mark Gutowski has incorporated into a central part of our website a communication office. And Mark does a fantastic job on this. We have multiple websites throughout the city for different information, Park and Recs, Police and Fire, a general one. We have multiple social media accounts that we post things. You can sign up in here to get emergency information. We had a water break. I got a text. I got a voicemail, and I got a generated voicemail on my phone. So email, text, and voicemail for the same incident, so that we can make sure that you're aware. And we would do that for any other emergencies that were coming around. There are videos of not just this meeting, but just about every committee meeting. For instance, last night was a Jedi meeting. At some point soon, but all the Jedi meetings are listed and the videos are there. Environmental Commission meetings are not on there right now because we've been doing virtual meetings. But Planning Commission, ARB, BZA, when those meetings were in-house, there's videos of them, and I'm sure we were capturing audio at least from the virtual meetings. So there's also places that you can sign up in there to get agendas emailed to you so that you don't have to find them. For committee meetings, council meetings, there's a plethora of information on that site, as well as ways that you can have it forwarded to you so it just shows up. And lastly, residents were concerned about false information on Facebook. And to tell you the truth, when we started to look at that, I wasn't really sure where we were going with that, because I don't look at Facebook all that much other than post pictures of my family and golf stuff. So, but others were using it for information. And so we started to monitor that, or at least we had people monitor it for us. It pretty much came into, so we found things that, for instance, there was some misinformation on, the amount of money that was spent on our communications or IT department. We corrected that. There was some information that talked about that the CIC was illegal, and we showed all the state certifications and legalities of that. There's some information that I misspoke and I had lied about a certain number. Again, I was using the statement of cash and had a video to show that that was incorrect. At the end of the day, most of the financial information has come from a small section on the Twinsburg Roundtable. A Twinsburg Roundtable is not as open. I do not have access to it, so I don't get these things. People screenshot and send them to me or others, and that's how we're getting the information. So I would like to challenge Michael Turrell, who runs that that site. You know, a couple months ago, you were in here, you wanted to talk about how you could be a unifier in the community. A challenge to you has become that. Stop blocking city workers and people on police and firemen were getting blocked on issue 2. Stop blocking it. Be responsible with what you're putting out to make sure it's accurate. And if it's not accurate, or if people have other views, allow the other views to be done. So, again, I don't know if you'll do that or not, but as we find incorrect or false financial information, again, let me just clarify that. If somebody doesn't like me and wants to call me names on Facebook, that's fine, go for it. It's not about the insults or things like that. Specifically talking about city financial information, we will challenge that, because it turned out that a lot of people felt that we were that we had issues that we could show you that we didn't have, because we were not challenging that kind of information on the site. And lastly, I want to talk about the complaint that I brought up last week or a couple weeks ago with our citizen auditor. As I understand today, we're in mediation in the Ohio Courts of Claims. And we have provided over 20,000 documents to this person over the last 5 years. The last 4 years, we supplied them in the identical format that we blocked out the information and addresses of underage children, and we did that this year as well. But this year there's a complaint about it. I absolutely believe that Mr. Maestros and the mayor will fight this till the end, appeal it, and then we'll notify anybody that information is sent out, or their parents of where it's going. I don't understand why you would need the names and addresses of underage people. My kids never worked in the city ever, so I don't know what you're looking for. But we're not done with that. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you. Oh, one last thing. Congratulations, Karen. Really appreciate you being here. Great night. Lots of friends showing up, and literally look forward to working with you. We had a lot of people that we interviewed, and I felt that I would personally want to pick the best person. And on top of that, we got somebody to replace a female position with a female, and I thought that was important too, to keep a balance here. So congratulations, and I really look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Barr.
Good evening, thank you. Public Safety Committee meeting met this evening at 6 o'clock here in Council Chambers. In that vein, I'd like to congratulate and welcome Mrs. Labby as a member of Council and also a member now of the Safety Committee. She attended her first meeting. One of the items for discussion this evening was the traffic light timing at Chamberlain and State Route 82. We received some resident complaints referencing the timing of traffic getting through the lights, specifically southbound Chamberlain onto 82. We were informed by the engineer our most recent traffic survey was done in 2014 for that corridor, and that right now, given that people are getting back to work, COVID is still impacting some traffic patterns and traffic flows, and we're still building out Cornerstone. The suggested course of action is going to be to get the police department to assist us up there and maybe take a look at people possibly shortcutting through private property, and also just to take a look at the traffic conditions during those peak rush hour times, typically in the morning or in the evening. We also, at some point, once Cornerstone's a little more built out, want to take a look possibly at budgeting some money to do another traffic survey, and since the last one is now about 7 years old. The other issue that was discussed was just congratulatory in tone, was that I'd like to thank the city engineer and certainly the service department for the installation of the the lights, the pedestrian crossing lights at Neely and Liberty and Post and Liberty. I had the opportunity to kind of play with them personally. They work great. Chris, thank you, sitting in the back there. We appreciate it. And I know our residents are thankful, especially a lot of our softball and baseball and soccer families that head out through the neighborhood and over to the park on Liberty, as well as our hikers and joggers that are taking advantage of Liberty Ledges. The next safety committee meeting is not slated to meet until 2022. With that said, if something comes up, we'll be certainly happy to call that meeting and convene and handle those issues. Again, I'd like to welcome you to council. Look forward to working with you, and don't forget to get your petitions signed, because that's right around the corner.
They've already started.
All right. And finally, it's been said a lot this evening, but Twinsburg lost a hero 13 years ago. I was actually a member of the Reminderville Police Department at the time, so it hits pretty close to home. I understand everybody's emotions about it, and just my thoughts and prayers to Holly and Thea. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to congratulate Karen. You're going to do a great job. Great selection, great interview. You're going to do well. My report on June 22nd, I attended a ribbon cutting, and it was at Cleveland Furniture Company, 2200 Highland Road, and they welcome the city of Twinsburg to come and visit them, particularly you, Mayor Yates, because you know the owners know you. They said, tell them to come by and spend your money. On June 24th, I also attended a comprehension plan update, and that started at 6 o'clock. And Mr. Fury, I was glad you were there to take over for me. Well, you're a part of it anyway, but I had to leave and to attend the Parks and Rec Commission, because I wanted to visit both of them, but I only gave one 30 minutes. And then with the Parks and Rec, I was there to swear in 4 new members to the committee. And one of the members talked about unleashing of dogs and dog waste on Old Hickory Trail. I don't know, Mayor, if you got any information on it, but they said they were going to send it to you. And they said that we needed consistent signage, mount dog disposal units, and city ordinance postings. And that's what they're looking for on Old Hickory Trail. On July 1st, I attended the ARB meeting, and it was quite interesting. So to say, it was my first time coming. I didn't know what to expect. Maureen sent me the information, and there were 5 cases on Enterprise, Ravenna Road, Creekside Drive, Champion Trail, and one on Irena Lane. So what I did, I just did what anybody who was a newbie, you drive around and you look at the property, and that's what I did. I drove around, looked at the property, took pictures. I'm thinking, well, I don't know what to expect, but all that information came in handy, because at least I knew where the places were, what was going to be done, how the homes and the businesses looked without a sign, and where they wanted the sign. So I thought it was really interesting, you know, to attend the meeting. And I'll just give you an example of some of the places that I went to. On 1925 Enterprise Parkway, and these were signages that they needed. 10755 Ravenna Road, it's a family martial arts building, and they had this big empty spot, and it was about as big as that screen up there. They're going to put a big sign up there, and I'm thinking, the sign is going to go there? How wonderful. And then on Creekside Drive, the Fun Buffet, they need a signage there. On Champion Trail, that's residential. They're putting on an addition. And on Irina Lane, they're adding a pavilion. And the signages have been approved. The ones that are going to be adding on, they'll be meeting at our next meeting, which is this coming Thursday. And I'll be filling in for Maureen and Ken this coming Thursday. I just love this group for some reason. It's just, you know, it's just something new for me, and I love new adventures. I really do. I did attend the Jedi meeting, and I think Mrs. Stauffer's going to give a report on that. And then last but not least, on July 30th, the senior picnic is going to be 11 a.m. So please call Park and Rec for more information. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mrs. Labby, your opportunity. You have anything to say tonight or add in? Or you want to say?
No,
No report?
No report. I did attend the Jedi meeting because Daisy I hadn't heard about it before, and Daisy had so eloquently talked about it, and I really was piqued with my curiosity. And it is a wonderful meeting, and I'd like to keep attending because I think it's very important, and I have a human resources background, and it's something that I've always believed in, is all of those things.
Yes.
So, and then I went to the safety meeting today as well. So I had the opportunity to speak with Amy prior to pursuing my council seats. So just to know, because I was just curious of what was going on in the ward. So I was kind of appraised at that ahead of time. So I was curious about that as well. So
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, under my report, my committees have not met. However, the Capital Improvements Board will begin to meet. The first meeting is scheduled for August 31st, Tuesday, August 31st, here in the council chambers. As you may or may not know, this is the last council meeting before our recess. So the very next council meeting will be August 24th. So there'll be no meeting at the end of the month here or the beginning of the month of August. So next meeting will be August 24th. Same time, 7 o'clock, unless we have something else come up in the meantime. We may have a finance committee meeting that night, Sarah? Most likely? Yeah, okay, so at 6 o'clock? Okay, finance will be at 6 o'clock. I just want to bring something up that I brought up about a month ago, and that was my disappointment with our trash hauling company. I think I made my point, and I'm not looking to make another point. I just want to add to what my disappointment is. And on the 6th, last Tuesday, I had a cul-de-sac that was missed. It was not picked up, Woodchuck Court. No trash collection that day for those folks over there. Also that day, I believe there was on Patton Court, there was no trash collection there. Also on Patton Court, in Mrs. Walker's ward, Waste Management hit one of the mailboxes of a resident and need to be replaced. My understanding is that they offered her $20 to replace that mailbox, which I think we all know that that's not enough money to replace a mailbox. I believe it's been settled upward of over $150, which I'm glad that they were willing to do that and make that settlement with this resident. I believe, is she live alone?
$75.
Pardon me?
$175.
$175. So I'm glad to see that they made that settlement. But my disappointment with Waste Management, you know, it seems time and time again that they're dropping the ball, and I'm not sure why. I'm not saying that people don't run into a problem or an issue, but I think what really needs to happen is that you show some kind of concern for that, and you go forward and make it right. And unfortunately, on the 7th which was last Wednesday, I go over there. I kind of have a rubbish route now. I think I'm in charge of the trash in Ward 1. So I ride through the ward in the morning because I know that there's times that people will call and say they miss my trash. And Sometimes it's because they miss putting it out. And so I ride the route in the morning to make sure that the trash is out in the problem areas. And it's been out there, and then I check back later in the day to see if it's been picked up. Well, I went to Woodchuck Court, and our service crews are out there picking up trash, okay? Although that's I appreciate that. Chris, I appreciate you sending them out there to take care of the problem, because it's like when people call you, they have a situation and they want it fixed. And in a situation like that, I believe it needed to be fixed. They didn't want their trash out another day. And so the service department was out there picking up garbage that we're paying good money for to Waste Management to pick up this trash. The other day I get another email from a resident on West Idlewood that had a refrigerator out there. Refrigerator was out there for a week and a half, never picked up. They contacted Waste Management and were told by Waste Management, we'll get it in 2 weeks. Okay? I don't know what their policy is. To me, that's unacceptable. 2 weeks. Well, lo and behold, that night, a car came down West Idlewood and hit it with a car. So now you've got another issue going on there. So these things need to be, you know, I just don't think that they take Twinsburg seriously when, you know, they've got a contract and they have a commitment here, and they need to step up to the plate. And it may not be happening citywide, but it's happening in Ward 1, and it's happened a little bit in Ward 2. So, and maybe some of you folks aren't getting the calls, but I'm sure it's happening there as well. And this needs to be fixed. I just want to urge council that, you know, our contract, I believe, is up at the end of this year. We have to give them a notice. I think it's 60 days prior to the expiration of that contract. Otherwise, it renews automatically. So I would hope that, Mayor, you stay on top of this. Chris Campbell, please stay on top of this. I think that something needs to be resolved. We've heard nothing from Waste Management other than the letter the mayor read a month ago, which I really don't think, in my opinion, changed my mind at all. Now, I understand that they're trying to get a meeting together with the municipal contact there and the mayor and our public works director and myself to try to talk about these things. And okay, I mean, I'm willing to sit down. I wanted that a month ago, but I was blocked from doing that. I wanted him here. I just wanted to talk to him. I wanted to find out, and that was not possible. Somebody blocked me. So something's got to change, but I urge council to let's keep in mind that this contract's going to automatically renew in January if we don't do something to stop it ahead of time. And I think that we've had automatic renewals with them, and maybe it's time to go out to bid and just see what's out there. And I think the service has to change, and I think they need to respect the city of Twinsburg and our residents in the servicing of our community. That's all. That's all I have to say about it. Other than that, I mentioned my committee meetings. That's the end of that. It's the end of our reports. Mayor, your report.
Good evening, everyone. I was going to talk about the base at the end of our report, but I want to kind of get it off my chest. We've talked a lot tonight about what today is, the loss of Josh McTerry, you know, his end of watch 2008, and you know, our community and our police force have really stood up behind Josh's family, his friends, his coworkers, to make sure that no one ever forgets the sacrifice that he made. Even though I didn't know Josh, every day in the halls here, someone is talking about him and how it's impacted them. And so through that, I feel like I've got to know what at least he stood for and the love he had for his job and this community. The comments made by Ms. Clinton tonight were nauseating, to say the least. that she would use this event that has still people in this community healing and talking about, to grandstand about an operational issue that she has nothing about, and then to talk about a contract issue that she knows nothing about. And so it's frustrating because there's still a lot of healing going on, and for her to stand up there and do that, I think shows a lack of respect to the city, a lack of respect to our police department, a lack of respect to Josh's family, and everyone is still mourning. And so I hope this community and our department, long after I'm gone, continues to remember this day and remember it throughout the year like they do. It's not just this day. I mean, it talks about every single day here at the city in some fashion or another. But I just needed to, I guess, get that off my chest. I'm try to shift gears now. And I missed the last council meeting. I was out of town visiting some family, and I want to thank the work of the service department and also the Careback family. We dedicated, it seemed like a long time ago, but we dedicated the memorial to former Mayor Careback, and it was great to see his family in town. They're so appreciative to council for supporting it, for the city to have created that over at Liberty Park. That was a real important space for him, and so I just wanted to mention that because I haven't had a chance to do that. On a little bit lighter note, I was as soon as I got back in town, I was invited over to Greenbridge Tea House. This kind of ties into Mayor Careback. He was a big supporter of the Historical Society. But they went to replace a handicap ramp and uncovered a well that had been buried under the ramp. So it was interesting to see. They had news out there and everything. But they're trying to figure out a way to keep it exposed so that when people come there, they can still see it. But that's something that was really interesting, and the Historical Society was there also. The concerts, if you haven't been going, our Pops Orchestra, the Dave Matthews, Trippin' Billies, and then we have Wrecking Crew coming up. We've been having a blast at those concerts. I know Ms. Boutigras has been really doing a fantastic job bartending. Let's see how red we can get her face right now. So she has done a fantastic job, and I know Council's also helped step up. We've got a lot of people volunteering at these concerts this year. A lot of our seasonal workers and a lot of our full-timers spending time helping out. But it's great seeing this city having fun to outdoor music and live music again. So it's been enjoyable going to those events. Just want to and we'll put some more advertisements out, but the East Otterwood culvert's going to get worked on, and so we'll have the road closed for a couple of weeks, making sure that that's taken care of properly, but we'll get all the notifications out to the residents. The waste management issues that Mr. Scafidi discussed, we are trying to set up a meeting and with waste management. I know he gets calls for his ward, and as do other councilmen. I get kind of all of them because either they come to me directly or they get funneled through council. I know we've recently, beginning of June, started to put together kind of a list of what those issues are, and then what the resolution was and when the resolution took place. And I know it's not common practice to send out our service workers out there to pick it up. It's one of those things where if waste management can't get there within a 24-hour period, we may do that because I think that's important for us to take care of the residents. But we've calculated there's 40,000 stops that they do per month. So yeah, I know we're going to have issues, but I hope we can still kind of look at the ones that we've had and address them with waste management. So that's why I've offered to set up that meeting with Mr. Scafidi. I want to talk a little bit about the downtown redevelopment. So we've been kind of working behind the scenes for really a number of years. We've got to a point with the CIC where there's been a vote. We did an RFQ. We had two really good proposals, and the CIC selected Heritage Development to partner with the CIC and the city to start a redevelopment of the southeast quadrant of our downtown area. As we work through this process, we'll be updating the residents on the development agreement that we're going to enter into. We'd like to do some town hall or some type of forum that can kind of help pull in some residents and get some feedback on, I'm sure we all have different visions on what that could look like down there, but we want to get some input from the residents before we enter into that development agreement and really start kind of this process of planning that and hopefully getting that moving forward. It's an exciting time. Both Heritage and the city is excited about the possibility of this happening. I know we did a lot of interviews for the Capital Improvement Board as well as for Counsel, and the number one topic that was talked about was the downtown area. So I know there's a lot of residents out there that are really looking forward to something happening, but as things start transpiring, we'll be talking about a lot of different things that could happen. We're probably going to end up with a TIF district down there and a lot of different concepts that we'll have to introduce to the public. So, but I wanted to just kind of bring both council and I guess the city up to speed, the residents, on where we are in that process. It's still very early. I mean, we've made it this far, but we still have a long way to go. But as we work through this process, we'll keep everyone informed. And then lastly, I just want to say that I really do appreciate all the residents that we had apply for both Capital Improvement Board as well as the open council seat. It's in years past, we would have to just, beg residents to come participate in these things. And I know the last 4 or 5 years we seem to have had just an influx of people wanting to get involved, which is great. I think it shows the city, shows well for the city, as well as what we're trying to do with these boards and committee members. But I just want to congratulate Shelley Shipley. She was appointed to Capital Improvement Board. I know she's going to do great. And then again, I want to congratulate Karen. She's I've known her for a long time, and so I think she's going to do really well on council. And I look forward to what we are going to do here in the next few months and possibly what we do after that. So thank you, and that is all I have this evening. Oh, and Daisy, your dog issue on Hickory Hill is being addressed. So I found that out for you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we do have some department head reports. Michael, do you want to start?
Good evening, members of council. How are you this evening?
Good evening. Fine.
Department of Human Resources report for tonight. I want to start with some statistical data. Currently, we are at 167 full-time staff, and we are still hovering around 5% diverse workforce. Good news is we have implemented a new wellness program for our employees through Bravo Wellness, through our Medical Mutual Ohio medical provider. The program is employee-based, where employees can submit their information now through a dashboard. They will see their points that they calculate right there in front of them, whereas before you had to kind of submit monthly reports to someone who then calculated that at the end of each month, and it wasn't really in real time. And so we have our new wellness program. It started June 1st, and it runs as follows. Annual physical is worth 20 points. Our health assessment also worth 20 points. There's an online health university where you can actually look at articles and read articles in regards to whatever health issues you may have personally. That's worth 10 points. Achieving 1 million steps during this time period of June 1st through December 31st is worth 20 points. I know that seems like a lot, but I want to break it down for you. That's 166,666 steps a month, which breaks down to a little over 5,555 steps a day, where the national average actually suggests 10,000 steps a day. Or you can complete 5,000 activity minutes to, again, achieve those 20 points. Also completing 3 preventative care services, also worth 10 points each. And then visiting our rec center 20 times. I thought this was very important, as we do give memberships to our employees, and so they should be utilizing that membership. So visiting the rec center 20 times or 3 times per month, or completing 6 group sessions, that's 1 per month, will get you 20 points. So a total of 120 points for the program this year for 6 months. If you achieve a certain amount of points, you will again receive those incentives in regards when we have our open enrollment. And so I am excited because we actually gave out 19 water park passes to employees who actually went forward and completed their registration. They logged on, they did their physical and annual assessments already right when the portal first opened. So I'm happy about how this program is moving forward. In regards to our employment recruitment, we have posted our police officer and firefighter paramedic entrance exams, which I'm very happy to announce. We are utilizing National Testing Network for those written exams. We actually already have a number of applicants who have submitted their scores. I checked right before tonight's council meeting for both positions, and they have also shown that there are groups scheduled to be tested and to send those scores to us. Primarily showing that we have posted our job and they are specifically interested in coming to Twinsburg to work. We're recruiting with several minority organizations, sourcing some good quality candidates to become members of our police and fire department. So I'm really happy how that has already taken off, and we just posted the position this week. So you will see firefighter has already been posted on our website as of yesterday. In respect of today, as has already been mentioned, we did not post police, but we will post that first thing in the morning. So police will be posted as well. In regards to JEDI, we have a Twinsburg resident who will be working with the JEDI committee. Her name is Jessica Sumarak, and she will be joining to complete her master's degree practicum internship with the JEDI committee. She was introduced on last night and is studying at Audits University. She has a wealth of knowledge around community engagement, training, and development. I'm excited to have her work with that committee to help those subcommittees move forward the objectives and initiatives and goals that they have in place, so that when we come back after recess, we have kind of a moving target of what we want to do. And finally, I want to share with council that we will be celebrating employee appreciation with a summer picnic on July 21st at 11:30. Please feel free to stop by the pavilion and just show your support to all of our employees who work so diligently to move things through our city. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, you want to go up?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
For the month of June, the fire department responded to 274 calls for service. That brings us up to 1,553 for the year, which is about 10% ahead of last year's pace. Of those calls for the month of June, 30% of them were overlapping with other calls, just demonstrating the busyness of the department at given times. Fire prevention completed a number of inspections, including 68 just annual safety inspections, 22 re-inspections, and they also inspected 5 alarm, sprinkler, or hood inspections during the course of the month. And just for your enlightenment, beyond the annual safety inspections, the different protection systems within the different buildings also require testing by a certified testing company. So we try to be present for as many of those as we can, so we can see what's going on with the safety systems in these buildings. So that's why, even though it might be one business, we may be there for several times in a year for different inspections and different purposes. We also completed 3 fire investigations through the course of the month. Our personnel completed 137 different training sessions totaling over 560 hours of training. And we also completed 3 public education sessions, contacting about 40 different people. Under points of interest, our weather warning system was tested again on the 3rd, and everything functioned properly. There still is an issue of an indicator light on the siren at Liberty and Cannon Road, but the siren is functioning properly otherwise. Our fleet is in pretty good shape. Engine 1 has been on the road and operating to this point flawlessly. Very happy with the way it's performing. There still are a couple small items that need to be completed, things that are haven't been delivered with the truck yet, and there's a lot of things that we're finding are being delayed for whatever reason. I think everyone's experiencing that in some way, shape, or form. And related to that, Ladder 2, which has been out of service since April, continues to be out of service because we're waiting for parts to be delivered. And then under projects that are underway, hydrant flushing continues. We have completed over 1,500 of the hydrants in the city and the township, with a little over 1,800 total, so we're drawing close to completion. So we're glad that'll be done. It's something we do annually, again, to make sure it flushes a lot of silt and sediment out of the water lines, and it also exercises the hydrants to make sure they're operational when they're needed. So, and it's a good, just familiarity exercise for our personnel to get them out in the streets, in the neighborhoods that we might not visit frequently, and it's just a great opportunity for our guys to also interact with the kids that are out there and wondering what we're doing and things of that nature. And finally, we were just happy that Corey Hayden was sworn in as a full-timer on June 8th. He's been with us part-time for a number of months, and he was able to be sworn in to fill a position that was being vacated as a result of the retirement of Captain Simon. So that completes my report for tonight. Any questions?
Thanks, Chief.
I have
that one.
Oops, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Mrs. Walker.
Some of the fire hydrants in my ward are green and orange.
Yes.
Are there going to be one particular color? Because I don't understand why they're two different colors.
It's our desire that they be one particular color, and historically, well, in recent years, it's been part of service departments' list of things to do to paint the hydrants, and it's one of those things on the list of things to do. And the service department is very busy with a lot of projects, so it comes down to priorities. And as much as we'd like them all to look the same, as long as they work, they're really serving their purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mr. Campbell would like to get that off his list of things to do as well. But it's just an issue of priority, time and manpower.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Just one.
I'm going to correct that a little bit. It's not necessarily a list of priorities. So we went through the city and we had a machine that was able to strip them and paint them. And the first phase was painted green. And then throughout, as we were going through the city, we had discussions with fire department, and we prefer red. So service department switched to red. So as we work through repainting them again, the green ones, a lot of them are still in good condition, so it's a lot of work to strip and paint. So as we continue to repaint fire hydrants throughout the city, they will all consistently be one color.
One
So,
color.
does that help?
Red? Red or green?
Also, to
Red.
add to that as well, I guess, residents had some input on the change of color as
Right.
well. And the orange and gray ones specifically, most likely that's a brand new hydrant that's replaced a hydrant that we indicated that was damaged or needed some service. So again, actually it's a good sign that there's a new hydrant there.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll get it painted as soon as it's time is made available.
Okay.
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 All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Chief.
Chief, how'd I saw you guys had a vehicle fire at 480 West exit at 91 a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
How'd the new foam system work out?
Well,
I did see a
works fine.
picture of the new truck
No,
down there.
And we call it, generically, we call it a foam system, but actually this is an additive that we put in the water. It's called F500. And it's an encapsulator agent, which actually, it's a chemistry thing. this agent helps the water actually encapsulate the combustible molecules of whatever's burning. So it's harder for that substance to reignite. So it's supposed to help put the fires out faster. It also serves as a surfactant, and again, a chemistry thing. It breaks down the surface tension of the water, so the water can actually soak into the stuff that's on fire and cool it quicker. So it worked great. And interesting story, that car was actually, it was being test driven from a dealership in Streetsboro.
Not a good test drive.
Unfortunately, I believe both the occupants of the vehicle were also detained afterwards because of legal issues. So,
Okay. Well,
interesting set of turn of events.
I'm glad the fire truck's working. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, Chris?
Where do I begin? Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
So I'll jump around a little bit. So on the fire hydrants, well, this is kind of a catching up year for us. To give you an example, we got back to crack sealing, which happens in the spring and in the fall because it's temperature sensitive. So far, we have completed 62,400 linear feet of crack sealing. So we have a lot of product on, on site. So that was one of the things. We had some decent weather, so we jumped on to that program. The hope is that in the fall, we can get back to the hydrant painting. But again, all the hydrants have been painted, with that new process with the plug hug, we call it. So they were all painted, but not the preferred color. So when we're able to, we will get back on that. And we will get those all painted red. The chief says I want to get that off my desk. However, that seems to be an ongoing thing. You've always got some hydrants that need some attention. Right. This gives us the best chance. This is a great process that we've chosen because we're able to get most of the old paint off, the old rust. We spray paint them with a really good product. So, it's a project that is ongoing, but we see a completion with this a lot, more frequently than we used to. So, but yes, we will get to that.
Thank you.
Also, because of all the rain, both departments are running. They're running. Wastewater, for example, they get an average daily flow of about 2.83 million gallons. We've had flow rates of over 7 million gallons coming in that treatment plant. So they're hustling. They're chasing it. So, and then when you look at the service side, they're doing their stormwater checks. The storm area checks. They're cleaning that. They did the creek earlier this year. They're doing a lot of work in the storm system with ditch line cleaning and so forth. So again, it's kind of a catch-up year. We're checking on the delineators at the railroad crossings. Those take a lot of minding. So. Besides that, we're in the middle of our summer operations. We're cutting a lot of grass. We're maintaining the parks and doing all that. Just to give you an update, branch chipping, the July round, we're in the middle of it. Since we won't be here, I just wanted to remind everybody August 2nd is the next Monday that we'll be out doing branches. We're street sweeping. And again, it was mentioned that the crosswalk system on Liberty was completed. That was a new product for us. That went really, really well. The guys learned something, and I think it's a good system. Also, we are performing the restorations on the locations where Cleveland Water did their work. Any kind of water leaks or hydrant change-outs, we're doing the restoration of the tree lawns. So doing a lot of stuff, kind of running right now because of all the rain. But as I said, as we catch up on a lot of the things that we do, last year we didn't accomplish as much as we wanted to. we will get back to getting all these other programs caught up. So I think we've got a good start. You guys are doing a great job. So, and that's my report.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. All right, Sarah? Oh,
Jim?
Jim, you got a report?
Just wants
You
to
can
see a
report.
sprayer. It's your first sprayer, and that's what he has. I'm gonna vote for your sprayer, Jim.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
We need some sunshine.
Yes, I'll say.
So right now, just going through normal operations, maintaining the golf course, greens, tees, fairways, bunkers, clubhouse grounds, and the practice facility. Other items completed in late May, early June. We got all the flowers and planted around the golf course, as well as the planters at the clubhouse. So we're maintaining the beds as well. We've had a couple irrigation leaks that we repaired on the golf course. One was by number 1 tees that was fixed and restored as well. Equipment maintenance is ongoing at this point. Some of our fleet is starting to get older. Our mechanics doing a good job keeping us up and running on a daily basis with that program. This week we are dealing with the weather. Unfortunately, it's been soggy. We've had a couple inches of rain since Sunday. As Mr. Fury mentioned, we have the Joshua McTerry golf outing this Friday, so we hope we could have some nice conditions for that and everybody can enjoy themselves on that day. Lastly, I am losing in our department a few seasonal employees come August that are going back to school. So we do have an ad posted online if anybody has an interest to work at the golf course on the maintenance department to get us through till we close. That ad is online that people could go to and apply on if they'd like. So that's all I have. If there's any questions regarding the golf course.
Did you put those 2 big, beautiful flowers out front when you come to see the mayor and the law director?
At City Hall?
Yes.
Or- No, we, at the golf course, we did the pots at the clubhouse.
At the golf course,
Where
okay.
they, on the patio. Those flowers there that we put in on the planters at the patio at the clubhouse.
Oh, I was just gonna compliment you on it, 'cause those flowers
That would be
are
the-
gorgeous.
That'd be service department.
Service department. They do a wonderful
They're
job with
gorgeous.
their landscape too as well.
Yes, that's gorgeous.
On 3, there was a bulldozer for a while. What'd you guys do on 3?
What we did over the winter, the service department helped us with that, along with coordination with Amy, our engineer. There was a dredging project over on that lake on hole 3.
Okay.
There was some excess of silt in that lake area over there by the head wall. So the service department came in, it was late winter, early spring, and in-house excavated out that material.
Okay, so that was the material up there, and then you just
Correct.
flattened it out.
We did it to save cost and not to make a mess. We wanted to keep that material on site. So we
Okay.
graded that material out on the right side of 3. Since that time, it has been graded out and seeded, and there is grass established there right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jim.
Good.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Now the floor is yours.
Good evening, Council. So in finance, we are working on the June 2021 close. Our monthly reports are probably going to be a little bit delayed for a little while. We do have a staff member that's very heavily involved in our month-end closes that's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time, but we'll do our best to get those to you in as timely manner as we possibly can. The American Rescue Plan Act portal opened up, so we did go ahead and apply to get those funds. If you remember, we talked about last time that the estimate on how much money will get dropped from about 3.7 million down to about 2.2 million. And that's because they're allowing the townships to share in those funds. Finance Committee we will have when council comes back from break on August 24th. And at that meeting, we'll talk a little bit more about those American Rescue Plan funds and the eligible uses so that we can start making some decisions on how we best want to use those dollars. We're moving along with the electronic sewer billing. We're working closely with Jamie over in utility billing to get that up and running, and she's doing some live testing over the summer. So if you give her a call to make a payment, she's going to be testing out that system, and we hope to have it rolled out to the public in the fall. So keep a lookout for that. We did complete the 2020 audit. It's down at the state under review right now, so when they release that, we will get it out onto our website, and it'll be on the state auditor's website as well as soon as it's available. We've got the tax budget on third reading tonight. That does include the 2.4 mil levy that was passed by the voters last fall to support safety services, pensions, and capital. And then over the summer in finance, we're going to be working on the 2022 budget preparation so that when we come back from break, we can have the capital requests ready to go for the capital improvement board. And then we'll start talking about budget at finance committee come probably October-ish. And then over on information technology, they've got a lot of projects going on right now. They've worked really hard with Parks and Rec, Jen and her department, to get them up and running for the water park and Rocket Park. And I think probably half of you have learned how to use the card over at the bar now. So they supplied all that for us, which is nice. And then they're doing a lot of preventative maintenance and equipment installations. Working on a phone system update, and then Mark's been doing a lot of work on that communications office and getting that page up and running, so we appreciate that. And that's all I've got for tonight.
All right, thank you. That's all we have this evening.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to legislation. First, we have Ordinance 45, 2021.
Counsel.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 45, 2021. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, 45, 2021 passes 6-0. Ordinance 46, 2021.
An ordinance adopting the tax budget of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, and submitting the same to the county auditor.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 46, 2021. I need a second, please.
I'll second.
I yield.
Mrs. Stoffer, seconds. Any discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, Ordinance 46, 2021 passes 6-0. Ordinance 52, 2021.
An ordinance authorizing the sale at auction of certain personal property owned by the City of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 52, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second. Yield.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Reason for the emergency is to be able to get the items to auction in a timely manner. Any discussion on that? Anything else? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. I want to make a motion that we adopt Ordinance 52, 2021 as an emergency. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I'll yield.
Okay, who called it over here?
It's in Maureen.
Oh, Mrs. Stoffer. Okay, Mrs. Stoffer. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Ordinance 52, 2021 passes as an emergency 6-0. Ordinance 53, 2021.
An ordinance establishing salaries, wages, and employment descriptions for certain employees of the city and updating classifications of employees to be known as the salary ordinance and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 53, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Reason for the emergency is to get the salaries in line with the current staffing needs of the city. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr? I'm sorry, Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, emergency clause passes 6-0. I want to make a motion to adopt ordinance 53, 2021 as an emergency. Can I get a second?
I will second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Okay. Any further discussion?
I would like to say I had the opportunity to talk to our HR director at the break, and that was my question, was to him, was if he concurred with it, and he did, so
He does.
That was my question, so I wanted to thank you.
Perfect. Already doing your research. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 53, 2021 passes as an emergency, 6-0. Ordinance 54, 2021.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 14, 2021, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 54, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Reason for the emergency on this one is to get the equipment ordered and to be able to use it this season at the golf course. Is there any other discussion?
No, this was something that was on capital improvement for this year. It was, I guess, kind of postponed. We wanted to see if we could make it through one more year. I believe this is the 1996 sprayer that we're using. It's vital to the operations of the city. I think I sent council some information on it. So thank you for supporting this. It's needed by the course.
Okay. Any other discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt 54, 2021 as an emergency. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, 54, 2021, ordinance 54, 2021 passes 6-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 55, 2021.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 14, 2021, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 55, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer? Okay. Reason for the emergency is to be able to get the project started in a timely manner. Any further discussion on that? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. That passes 6-0 as an emergency. I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 55, 2021 as an emergency. Can I get a second?
I second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, 55, ordinance 55, 2021 passes 6-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 56, 2021.
An ordinance providing for the reinstatement of the cost of living wage increase for the non-bargaining unit employees that voluntarily froze their wages at the 2020 rate commencing July 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 56, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I will second.
Mr. Fury seconds. The reason for the emergency is to implement this in a timely manner. Any other discussion?
No, I just would like to make a few comments. So this was, as we moved into 2021, this was something that I chose to do in terms of the cost of living increase, and I had my department heads voluntarily join in with me to forego their cost of living increases for this year. As we've moved through this year, they've all worked with limited staff and a lot of challenges that COVID and a lot of different things placed on their departments. We reduced, staffing initially by, 36 employees. We've slowly increased that some, but anyway, I just would ask council to support this. I am not part of this ordinance, so this is strictly for the department heads that voluntarily froze their wages and didn't get their cost of living increase. So I'd ask that you support this.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. I want to make a motion to adopt ordinance 56, 2021 as an emergency. May I get a second?
I will second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 56, 2021 passes as an emergency 6-0. Next, we'll move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous business. And we'll start down here with Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. I have nothing to report, and if I don't talk to any of you, council, have a good one until I see you again.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Yeah.
Fury.
In the paper, Chris Noga announced that he was retiring, and he was the chief when Josh was killed. I just wish Chris the best for his future and thank him for the years of service he's done to the city. And congratulations to him on tonight on watching his son get a proclamation for being an Eagle Scout. So I wish him the best. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I talked to Chris Noga in the back this evening, too. That's the first time I've seen him since he made his announcement, so my sentiments are the same as yours. Just like to pass those along publicly as well. Mr. Barr.
Thank you. As previously stated, congratulations to Chief Noga on his retirement, and thanks for his years of service to the city. I think we still got him for about another 50 days or so, we should enjoy him while he's still here. I'd like to thank Mrs. Butchergross for teaching me how to tend bar. She's probably highly overqualified for the job, but I literally did learn from the best at the Trickling Billies concert last Friday, so thank you for that. Those are the experiences you take with you. So thank you for that. Chuck Bonacci's Metal Night is coming up on the 23rd, I believe, so Friday after next. So hopefully Chuck will be there. It's a Motley Crue tribute band. On a side note, I ran into a friend of mine that I haven't seen since I was 19 years old at Rock the Park last week. And she's lived in the Kent Ravenna area for the last 30 years. And told me she'd never been to our venue before and was absolutely blown away with Rock the Park, with the Preaching Amphitheater, with just the whole experience. And it was really great to hear something that didn't have to be said. It was a genuine compliment from somebody, again, that I knew when I was just out of high school. And sometimes it's easy to take for granted something that's right in front of you, so it was really terrific to just hear that from my friend Kim. And I want to congratulate Jen and her staff and the service department, the police, fire, everybody that makes that possible, because we're really fortunate to have that here in Twinsburg. If you haven't been to a show, I highly suggest you go. Our lineup is so diverse, there's definitely something for everybody. So poke in and check it out if you haven't been there. That's all I have this evening, and we'll see you guys after the break. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
I wanted to congratulate the Eagle Scouts as well and Chief Noga on his retirement. And I wanted to really thank our department heads for all of the work that you did, for freezing your salaries when you did, when your work was double, everything. So I do appreciate all of that and wanted the community to know. I also wanted to make an announcement that after serving 12 years on Counsel, representing Ward 4 and all of Twinsburg, I've decided not to run for another term. So I joined council with no prior experience, but learned a lot along the way. One thing I learned is you don't need to be a political activist or a council insider to make a difference. So I'd like to encourage residents of my ward and throughout the city who are interested in making our city a better place to consider running for council and getting involved and letting your voice be heard. Because you can make a difference. It's a lot of work. It can be very frustrating, but it's also very rewarding. I'd like to thank the voters who trusted me to represent them for the last 12 years. And I look forward to completing my term and welcoming my successors later this year. So that was, I thought before the break, I should make that quick announcement. And I want everyone to know too, that the people sitting up here, you know, we don't always get along. And I don't agree with some things, but every one of them here has the best interests of this community in mind. Our law director, all the way down, and it is just, I just hope the community really understands that there is no way they would ever do anything that would put anybody in danger. And I truly believe that, and I have so much respect for these people. That's all I have.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Oh, and welcome. Welcome. You're going to do great, Karen. Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
I'll miss you. I wish you were here.
Mrs. Labby, any
I
final
wanted to
comments?
thank everyone for their warm welcome, obviously being my first day. I wanted to thank Shannon. Boy, she is good. She's efficient, she's patient, and she responded immediately to anything I asked for, so heartfelt. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Look forward to working in the community.
Very good, thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I just want to also recognize Chief Noga. So he's served us 15 years as chief, and you know we have one of the most respected, highly trained police departments in this area. We kind of, you know, I believe set the standard for a lot of things in Northeast Ohio here, as well as in our general area. So, and he's had a large part of shaping that department to where it is today. And so I want to thank him for his service to our community. I know he's got mixed emotions about retiring, and so it'll be interesting to see what this next path of life takes him. But I just want to thank him for all his years, you know, as a friend as well as a colleague here working together. So I wanted to share that. And then I just want to have council kind of keep, we have a young officer, Travis Abatino, who is going to be deployed to Iraq for a year. His last day was today. He's going to be off for a couple of weeks, but just keep him in your prayers and his family. So he's going to be gone for a long time. And yeah, he's been a great addition to this police force and to the city. But I got to speak to him this morning, and so he'll be deployed here in a couple of weeks. So, and that is all I have. I wish council a calm, relaxing break. Come back ready to work in August, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Maestros, anything?
Thanks. Yeah, just briefly, you know, this is always a difficult day for a lot of people in the city, and it always amazes me. Bill was mentioning who was here, and then you start thinking who's not here. You know, how many people have moved on. And I want to thank the mayor for saying what he said earlier, so I don't have to address it, because I probably would get he's saving me from myself by doing that. But, you know, Josh is remembered as a hero, and that's appropriate. But we had a lot of people that acted heroically that night. Fire department seems to not get mentioned often enough on that night. They responded, and that is a difficult thing and burden for those folks to carry. Dispatch, who took that call, was very difficult for them to do what they did. And Josh's shift, who You know, some of them have moved on from the city, but we do have some that are here. And when you see those guys, you know, I saw them this morning, I see them throughout the day, you know, it all comes back to you. And all those people acted so heroically that night because we forget that nobody knew, you know, the defendant was not captured right away. And those guys charged into the woods. They ran up and down between houses looking for who did that with very little regard for themselves. And you know, I just like to remember them or think about them and their actions. And, you know, those days and weeks that followed, you know, guys like Mike Nakata, Ron Frisella, Tom Austin, Brian Donato, certainly Chief Noga, and without question, Kathy Prokop, you know, kind of guided the city. And, you know, I just want everybody to keep them in their prayers also, because I know this is a tough time for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maestros. Shannon, before I ask you for any final comments, I do want to mention that I want to thank Shannon as well for everything that she does for this council. Last week we had a marathon interviewing evening between all the interviews we had for the Capital Improvements Board and all the interviews we conducted for Ward 3. And Shannon, and I told Shannon this last week, that she just had it so organized and had us organized and the people coming in and people going out. And you really did a great job, Shannon. And I don't think you get enough credit sometimes. And so with our break coming up now, I hope that you take the next couple weeks or whatever and enjoy your time away from us. Yeah, you'll be here in City Hall, but you don't have to, you know, concern yourself with this stuff here. Or with us. I'm sure we'll probably still call you anyway, because we're going to need something. But we really do, and I think I could speak on behalf of all of council here that we truly appreciate all of your efforts and everything that you do to keep this council in order and to keep us organized and running like a well-oiled machine. So thank you so much, Shannon, for all you do.
Thank you.
Do you have any final comments?
I don't think
You don't? No.
I can't.
Okay. Sarah, you're up here. Anything else before we close? You're good? Okay. That being said, I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Greg Bellin this evening. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, please, Shannon.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into an executive session to discuss matters pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1, personnel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, we will go into an executive session and we will come out afterwards and report on the session and adjournment. Thank you.